because you are very much interested in all of this. Yesterday he spoke. I mean, he delivered the State of the Nation's address in Parliament, and he highlighted a lot of issues. Started by acknowledging Ghana's economic challenges and some plans to stabilize inflation and also strengthen the city. He talked about job creation, some agricultural investment to boost food production and also improve food security. He also highlighted some things in line with education, health, infrastructure, energy, governance, anti-corruption, and all of that. Did the State of the Nation's address meet your expectations?
Oh, I thought this morning you were going to say that, Abel, you did a good job yesterday because.
So yesterday you highlighted some of the things I know.
You're almost close to perfection.
Right.
I mean, highlighted what was going to happen because I was with you yesterday morning.
Yeah, I know.
And the very inside.
You highlighted, yeah.
I mean, yes, because I said he was going to try to paint a picture of the economy that has been handed over to him.
Yeah.
And if there's anything of that picture, we already know because he had mentioned when he met with the trade unions and the employers, the tripartite committee engaged on public sector wages. He said the economy was criminally mismanaged. So I said if there's anything we can take away, that is a gloomy thing that he was making of the economy that had been handed over to him. But I said also not go away. He was going to inspire hope. He was going to use the opportunity. I mean, we were not given the mandate to come and complain. In fact, I also mentioned that during his campaign, he had mentioned that he was aware of what they were happening to, and that things were not rosy, And I think on his campaign to become president, on most platforms, he took opportunity to reassure Ghanaians that, not even reassure, remember fishing there where he said he was not a magician, he was not a messiah who was coming that everything was going to be all of a sudden be perfect. He was going to try to manage the situation, stabilize the country, and put it forth on the path to recovery and prosperity. And you do so with programs that everybody can or can support, or people have understanding that once this program starts implementation, they were going to use the needed fruitful, so fortunately for him, after he won the election, most of his programs have become even more popular than they, And yesterday, we counted how some of these programs are going to resolve the general challenges that the economy is facing. He also reassured the people, like the cancer issue when he said he was going to fix it. He assured people of Ghana that with this particular current insight that is merit, he was going to fix it and put it on a path to recovery. Basically, that was just what he did, to paint a picture of what handed over to him and to inspire hope through his own policies. And for me, overall and in general, I think I'm not alone in this. Even the opposition, if there's anything the opposition can admit within their rooms, they will admit that yesterday the State of the Nation address was kind of inspiring. And then the information minister said that the former information minister said that we are going to look at how to, in fact, he said Mahama has a track record, and that track record is when he said he will fix them, so he didn't fix, so Ghanaians must not be carried away. And I could tell from his response that he was carried away by the State of the Nation address. He was carried away by the State of the Nation address. And so for me, if you ask me, it was full of hope. It was full of reassurance. it was encouraging. And so now the point will be, let's see how it unfolds.
Right.
But in general, it was reassuring to hear from our president touch across all sectors of the economy, and I was quite inspired. If half of the things that he said we should expect in the budget and some of the programs and reforms that this administration wants to take, at least even if they are able to get half done, I think Ghana will be good for it.
Right, but people have expressed in as much as you are saying it is full of hope, people have also expressed some skepticism when it comes to the things that he outlined. Some people are saying that some of the things you overpromised, and a particular one that is highlighted is the whole sanitary part conversation. I mean, in as much as it's a very good thing, I've heard people say that if does government have enough funding to be able to cater for that? Isn't it the free thing that we are starting again?
I didn't get the point.
So I'm saying that people are saying that, I mean, the sanitary part conversation. Yes, people have raised concerns that do we have sustainable funding for things like this? And yes, if we're promising again free things, then we're burdening the nation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think that's a very good concern. Especially when the government is equally proposing and asking for sustainable funding for some of the free programs, right?
Yeah.
Like the pre-senior high school. You yourself, you are asking for sustainable funding and saying that if you leave them like that. So if you are also doing these things, then the question is, in the long run, can we keep up? But I think the issue of the sanitary part, the conversation has been about the taxes that are slapped on them. I think categorized as luxurious goods and with hefty taxes on them. And people have called for the removal of those taxes so that at least they can be more affordable. Government is providing them for schools. I'm sure basic and possibly senior high school students who cannot afford them and in deplorable community. I think it should be in the short run, maybe within the short period, where government should be looking at the tax component of some of these items. That you remove the tax component so that when those that are importing them can reduce prices so that they can be affordable. That is one. Or you still keep the taxes on them because at the end of the day you want to curtail import. But those that are manufacturing them domestically, you have to do something about it. How do you support them? Maybe tax incentives like, for example, tax waivers, because some of them import some of the raw materials from outside to do the production in Ghana. Is that not so?
Yeah.
So you have to look at how you can do that for them. Or other incentives. For example, you are asking that under your 24-hour economy program, those that will register, there will be some sort of off-peak light, electricity reduction for them. So maybe get some of those companies to join some programs like that so that their production cost can be cut to the barest minimum. And once that is done, then the final product can be less costly and people can be able to afford. So going forward, those are some of the things. I think because if people can afford them in general, I don't think government will have to provide them in the long run. You understand? So I think that in the long run, there should be conversations around it. I think in the previous parliament, the 8th parliament, Honorable Xavier Susu and other MPs led some protests calling for the removal of taxes on some of these products. Maybe we should, let's see how Honorable Ketala also will handle that, whether if he's going to remove. But I'm also concerned about Ghana's import bill. So do you want to encourage more import, or you want to support your local industries to be able to do so and be competitive?
Right.
I think government must choose one. And so in the short period, while the students have need for them, you must try to provide and then look at how you can balance that out with some of policy.
Right. Abel, thank you very much. Our time is up and we have to go. Thank you. I'm grateful that you joined me this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right. Well, that was Abel Ansoliwina Modiok, a policy and governance enthusiast, and he's helped us break down a few of our headlines for today. We're grateful. It's exactly 7 o'clock and it's now time for business news with Samuela Enchi. Stay tuned.
It's Highway 109.
Hello and welcome to the business news segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. I am Samuela Inchi. Coming up, economists project VAT hike to 18% in 2025 budget. Also, Director General of GPHA calls for removal of COVID-19 levy VAT on transit cargo. And on the international scene, Ghana and Rwanda sign MOU on license passporting cross-border payment. These and many more stories will be coming your way. Please let's settle in for the details. Economist Professor Godfred Bokpin is anticipating a rise in the country's value-added tax VAT to as much as 18% or slightly lower in the 2025 budget as the government considers scrapping certain taxes. The expected removal of the e-levy, COVID-19 levy and betting tax has raised concerns about how the government intends to bridge the resulting revenue gap. Speaking in an interview, Professor Bokpin suggested that the government may extend VAT to cover financial services as part of effort to offset the expected shortfall. He believes the government will also likely restructure the VAT system by merging the standard levies with the standard VAT rate. Professor Bokpin cautioned that any VAT rate exceeding 18% could be counterproductive as it would negatively impact productivity and affect low-income earners. He stressed that the upcoming budget, the first for the Mahama-led administration, must consider reforms that meet the expectations of both the private and public sectors. As the new administration looks to reset the economy, President Mahama has pledged to scrap certain taxes while promising to cut wasteful spending and enforce fiscal discipline. Moving on, the Acting Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanya Kulunu, has made a compelling call for the scrapping of VAT and COVID-19 levies on transit cargo. He believes that such a move would significantly enhance Ghana's competitiveness as a premier transit hub in the West African sub-region, positioning the country to attract greater international business and strengthen its economic standing. Brigadier General Tanya Kolonu argued that removing VAT on transit cargo would not only make Ghana's ports more attractive to global trade, but also create substantial job opportunities, supporting the government's ongoing efforts to stimulate economic growth and align with its 24-hour economic policy. He made these remarks during a working visit by the Minister of Transport, Joseph Bukari Nikbe, to the GPHA headquarters. In his address, the Director General emphasized that the transit trade market is highly competitive, with neighboring ports such as Lomé and Abidjan constantly vying for business. He noted that any disruption in Ghana's port operations, particularly through the imposition of additional levies, could result in businesses shifting to alternative regional ports. Brigadier General Tanya Kolonu further revealed that a joint team comprising personnel from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA and GPHA, had recently traveled to Lomé to assess their port systems. This followed a similar visit to Abidjan, where the team studied operational practices in an effort to enhance Ghana's own port competitiveness and streamline its operations. Outlining his strategic vision for the authority, Tanya Kolonu highlighted key areas of focus, including the digitalization of operations, building organizational resilience, and fostering a corporate culture grounded in discipline, fairness, and teamwork. He expressed optimism that these initiatives, coupled with support from government agencies, would propel GPHA to new heights of operational efficiency and customer satisfaction. Economists project VAT hike to 18% in 2025 budget. The Tree Crops Development Authority (TCDA) has engaged cashew traders and exporters in Sampa in the Bono region of Ghana as part of efforts to familiarize with the industry's operations in the region. The tour, which was spearheaded by the acting chief executive officer of TCDA, Dr. Andy Osei Okra, was among many other things aimed at strengthening ties with key players, addressing their concerns, and reinforcing TCDA's commitment to enhancing cashew production efficiency and its regulations. Dr. Okra's visit underscores TCDA's dedication to ensuring that stakeholders in the cashew value chain receive the necessary support and guidance for sustainable growth. A major highlight of the visit was at Stakeholders Forum, where Dr. Okra officially introduced himself as the new CEO appointed by the president. He assured industry players of his readiness to collaborate with them to address bottlenecks in production, regulation, and exportation. The engagement provided a platform for stakeholders to express their concerns and expectations from TCDA. Participants commended the authority's proactive approach and expressed optimism about improved regulation and support for the cashew industry. As part of his visit, Dr. Okra toured several cashew warehouses to gain first-hand insight into the export processes. He also visited key processing facilities, including NH Natural Food Supplies Limited. Dr. Okra reaffirmed that the TCDA remains committed to developing policies and interventions that will streamline operations in the cashew sector and drive sustainable growth. On the international scene, the Bank of Ghana and the National Bank of Rwanda have signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to introduce a groundbreaking license passporting framework and cross-border payment interoperability for regulated financial technology companies. The signing ceremony took place on February 25, 2025 at the Inclusive FinTech Forum in Rwanda, with Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Mr. John Rwangombwa, and key officials from the National Bank of Rwanda and the Bank of Ghana in attendance. The forum took place from 24 to 26 February 2025. The license passporting framework is designed to facilitate easier cross-border operations for regulated fintechs licensed by either country's central bank. This initiative will enable the regulated fintechs in Ghana and Rwanda to expand their services with minimal additional regulatory requirement, thereby promoting innovation and growth in the financial technology sector of both countries. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, highlighted the significance of this agreement, stating, "The signing of this memorandum of understanding reaffirms a commitment to the broader idea of an integrated African market which holds the prospect of enhancing the livelihoods of our citizens and creates opportunities for an environment that encourages fintech innovation and investment, ultimately benefiting our economies, particularly MSMEs." Mr. John Rwangombwa, governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, remarked, "We recognize that creating an effective cross-border payment infrastructure requires more than just innovation. It demands a forward-footing regulatory framework that balances risk and opportunities. Both countries are optimistic that this enhanced cooperation will lead to greater prosperity and development within the payment system." That'll be all for the business segment on Business Breakfast on Zed. We'll take a recap of our headlines. Our top stories for today: economists project VAT hike to 18% in 2025 budget. Also, Director General of GPHA calls for removal of COVID-19 levy VAT on transit cargo. And also, Ghana and Rwanda sign MOU on licensed passporting and cross-border payment. You can visit www.zmultimedia.com for more. You can also visit Instagram, Facebook, and X, ZFMGH, Z Multimedia on TikTok and YouTube. I am Samuela Inchi. Thanks for listening. Up next is Sports Flash with Lukeman Evergreen Women. Stay tuned.
The stage is set for something special.
It is time to go racing.
Garnacho! Oh wow! Oh wow!
LeBron James with no regard for human life.
You couldn't write a script like this.
Here's Metzer. This is positive. Williams.
Kudus! The Korean joy did not last for long.
Oh my gosh, Kudus.
Step back for Partey. Oh yes! Oh yes, Thomas Partey!
Hello, good morning. It's time for Sports Flash on Business Breakfast on Zed. My name is Lukeman Evergreen Moomin, and there are interesting news coming from the camp of the senior national team, the Black Stars of Ghana. Now, who captains the team ahead of next month's World Cup qualifiers? In England, West Ham seem to have found their rhythm after another win and a clean sheet. Meanwhile, City look to be in more trouble off the pitch. We also have results from the NBA games that were played last night. All right, we begin with the national team of Ghana, the Black Stars. Now, forward Jordan Ayew is reportedly set to be named the new captain of Ghana's senior national team. The Leicester City striker will assume the role ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Chad and Madagascar slated for next month. The leadership shakeup comes after Thomas Partey, who previously served as the first deputy under Andre Ayew, opted against retaining his position. As a result, Alexander Jiku has now been appointed the new first deputy captain of the senior national team. Ghana's Mohamed Kudus has also dropped the iconic number 10 jersey for the Black Stars. Now, the 24-year-old wore the iconic shirt during the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Sudan and Niger last year. Kudus has decided to drop the famous number 10 jersey ahead of the remaining qualifying matches for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Yesterday, President John Dramani Mahama reaffirmed his commitment to ensuring accountability in the management of Ghana's national football teams, signaling an end to secrecy surrounding expenditure. Now, speaking during Thursday's State of the Nation address, President Mahama made it clear that the Ghana Football Association must be held accountable for its financial decisions ahead of the Black Stars' upcoming World Cup qualifiers.
The senior national team, the Black Stars, which is now a pale shadow of its former glory, will play 2 World Cup qualifying matches. I've instructed my office and the Minister for Sports and Recreation to hold the Ghana Football Association accountable to the people of Ghana as we prepare for these games, especially regarding the budget of the FA. There will be no secrecy in how much the government spends on the national teams. The budgets presented by the FA and other sports associations must be known by the public. After all, it is the taxpayers' funds that are used to fund these activities.
Also, that was President John Dramani Mahama speaking during the State of the Nation address in Parliament yesterday. Now, Ghana's U20 head coach Desmond Ofer has emphasized the importance of thorough preparations ahead of the 2025 Africa U20 Cup of Nations. The Black Satellite have been drawn into Group A, where they will be facing host Cote d'Ivoire, Tanzania, DR Congo, and a yet-to-be-determined team from the UNIFAC Zonal Union. Meanwhile, Cote d'Ivoire U20 coach Younes Zedok has acknowledged the threat posed by Ghana's youth team ahead of the clash in Group A of the CAF U20 Africa Cup of Nations. Now, that tournament begins on April 26th and ends on May 18th. Elsewhere, the marketing director of the Ghana Football Association, Jamil Marabi, has emphasized that the primary goal of the association's marketing department is to help Ghanaian football clubs become self-sustainable. Now, Ghanaian clubs across the various levels of competitions have expressed frustration over the financial support they receive from the Ghana Football Association.
We want the clubs to be self-sustainable. For me, that is one of our main targets that we're trying to propagate and push, that the clubs understand how to manage themselves and how to generate their own revenue. We have to empower them so that if they have their own revenue, then it makes the league organizers' job less. Because without a title sponsor or a league sponsor, every individual club has the resources it needs to play its football, in a very attractive and successful way. So that's our core task.
Well, so that was Jamil Marabi, the marketing director of the Ghana Football Association. Now, the draw for the quarterfinals of the 2025 MTN FA Cup competition will take place at the MTN House in Ridge in Accra on Friday, March 7th, 2025. The quarterfinalists will know their opponents after the live draw next month. Away from the locals into the English Premier League, West Ham United followed up their impressive victory over Arsenal with a win against Leicester to increase the pressure on Ruud van Nistelrooy and his relegation-threatened side. Now, Thomas Tuchel, who celebrated his 30th birthday yesterday, opened the scoring for West Ham United before a second-half own goal from Yannick Vestergaard sealed victory for the Hammers. Here is the birthday boy.
Yeah, it's great birthday because birthday is like big, and after this I just wanted to win, and with the goal it's even better, so it's nice gift that I could get. Yeah, for him it's clean sheet, so we can celebrate now because we play football, it's what is our dream, and we got what we wanted. Yeah, it was really important because we knew that we played very well Arsenal away, but we need to have this consistent. We wanted to win for our fans at home because the spirits can just go up, and we just need to build on this result. So I'm so happy.
Well, so that was an excited Thomas Tuchel speaking after that victory over Leicester City. Now, under fire, Leicester City manager Ruud van Nistelrooy remains confident despite his side rooted in the relegation zone.
I think the goals you concede are easy goals, and it's a reflection of how we played in the first half. If you see the difference in the first and the second half, how we as a team move forward to press the opponent, how we play forward with urgency after winning many duels, many balls, many second balls, play forward. And in the first half we were waiting way too much. We have to put also the opponent under pressure in the right moments, in the right way. And the back line dropped way too deep. The midfielders went along with them, and the forwards wanted to press, but they didn't have the support, so we were pushed back and back and back.
That was Ruud van Nistelrooy speaking after Leicester City lost to West Ham United in the Premier League last night. Still in England, La Liga president Javier Tebas says he has reported Manchester City to the European Commission for alleged breaches of rules relating to state-owned companies. Now, Tebas, a long-standing critic of City, told the media at the FT Business of Football Summit that the complaints were made in 2023, but then investigations are currently ongoing. Now, Argentina U20's midfielder Claudio Echeverri says he spoke to former Manchester City striker Sergio Aguero before agreeing to join the Premier League club. City signed Echeverri for £12.5 million from River Plate in January 2024 on a 4.5-year deal, but loaned him back to the Argentina club to continue his development. In Turkey, Fenerbahce manager Jose Mourinho has been banned for 4 games and fined a total of £35,194 for comments made after Monday's game with local rivals Galatasaray. Now, Mourinho was accused by Galatasaray of making racist statements after the Istanbul derby on Tuesday. Plymouth Argyle head coach Miran Muslic says it will be the biggest honor of his life to take on Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola in the FA Cup. Now, Muslic succeeded Wayne Rooney as Argyle boss in January and guided the Pilgrims to a 1-0 victory over runaway Premier League leaders Liverpool in the last round. This means that there wouldn't be games in the Premier League this weekend, but then in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Away from football to some tennis news, and Yannick Sinner's nomination for the L'Oreal's World Sportsman of the Year award has been withdrawn after he was given a 3-month doping ban. Now, the world number 1 accepted an immediate 3-month ban from tennis earlier this month after reaching a settlement with the World Anti-Doping Agency over his 2 positive drug tests last year. Now, results from the NBA games that were played last night. Golden State Warriors defeated the Orlando Magic. The Milwaukee Bucks also won against the Denver Nuggets. The Dallas Mavericks were winners over the Charlotte Hornets. The New Orleans Pelicans defeated the Phoenix Suns, with the LA Lakers also winning over the Minnesota Timberwolves. That will be all for sports this morning. My name is Lukman Evergreen Momin. Business Breakfast on Zed continues with Need Trebi Hammond.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Zed 101.9 FM.
Dream home. No interest for 2 years. Are you ready to step into your dream home? With Lakeside Estate's exclusive offer, you can own your own home in just 2 years with no interest repayment. This offers you affordable payments, flexible home purchase plan, quality homes, and lifestyle choice. Choose from a variety of beautiful homes in any of Lakeside Hills clusters. Your future awaits you. Imagine living in a home you love with the freedom to invest in your dreams without the burden of interest. As your CIMG Real Estate Company of the Year for the 4th time, we offer you hassle-free home acquisition. Call us today on 020-477-5040 or 020-141-8622. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Call us now to learn more and schedule a tour for our available homes. T&C Supply. Make your dream a reality. Lakeside Estate. Quality homes for all.
Have you heard the buzz about fintech lately? It's not just a trendy word, it's a revolution in the world of finance.
That's right. Fintech, short for finance and technology.
a very honest conversation this morning about treasury bills. What we call T-bills. A lot of us call it T-bills. Now, that is one of the most debated investment options out there. Some people swear by them, calling them risk-free, reliable, and a no-brainer for preserving wealth. But others also argue that T-bills offer very low returns and won't help you build a real financial freedom. So what's the real deal? Should businesses and individuals be looking at T-bills as a smart investment choice, or are they simply a way to park your money with little to no real growth? Let's break that down this morning here on Business Brief. Now, just a brief background. Treasury bills are short-term government securities issued to raise money for government projects. Investors lend money to the government in exchange of interest over a set period of time. Usually it's between 91 days, 182 days, or sometimes 364 days. Now, what is a major advantage? They are considered risk-free because the government guarantees them. Now, for years, treasury bills have been a go-to option for individuals, businesses, and even banks looking for safer and predictable returns. But do they really help investors grow their money, or are they just a way to avoid risk without making significant profits? Let me run you through something from the past. How we've seen it in the past. Now, between 2015 and 2019, Ghana's treasury bill rates ranged between 14% and 24%, making them one of the most attractive low-risk investment options available. Now, business owners, workers, and even students were buying treasury bills as a reliable way to earn passive income. And many investors reinvested their interest, allowing their money to compound over time. And so the government used these funds to finance infrastructure projects, pay salaries, and stabilize the economy. Even banks leverage treasury bills as a safe investment vehicle for their liquidity management. Now, during this period, treasury bills weren't just popular, they were seen as a strategic tool for smart investors who wanted stability and solid returns. Now, 2020 to 2022, there were some interest rate fluctuations there because COVID came and everything changed. The government had to borrow heavily to keep the economy afloat. Interest rates on treasury bills fluctuated between about 11% and 17%. Still better than a savings account anyway, but not as attractive as before. Now, inflation started rising and investors began looking for alternatives like stocks, real estate, and even cryptocurrency. And many businesses and individuals withdrew their money, feeling that treasury bills were no longer giving them enough returns to justify their investment. And this marked a shift in perception for the first time in years. People started asking whether T-bills are really worth it. Now, 2023 to 2024, there was a comeback. Is there a comeback? Fast forward to today, and T-bills are making a major comeback. T-bills are making a major comeback. With rising inflation, many Ghanaians are looking for low-risk ways to preserve their money. And as of early 2024, Ghana's T-bill rates range from 23% to 30%, making them one of the most attractive options for risk-averse investors. Many businesses are using T-bills as a temporary place to hold cash reserves while they also explore higher yield investment. And some individuals are combining T-bills with real estate and stocks to create a balanced portfolio. But even with this resurgence, there's still a big debate about whether treasury bills are truly a wealth-building tool or just a way to protect money without really growing it. So the big question this morning is, are T-bills a good investment? Now, here's why some people believe it's a good investment. Because they are risk-free and guaranteed. With T-bills, your money is safe and there's no fear of losing your capital. Again, better than savings accounts. T-bills rates often beat bank interest rates, so your money works harder. And also, it gives short-term flexibility. Now, unlike fixed deposits or real estate, T-bills give you access to your money in just 3 to 12 months, and that is also a good one. And it's also great for preserving your capital. If you're looking to protect your money against inflation, then T-bills are a solid choice for you. But why are others not agreeing with this particular assertion, or why do people disagree with the fact that T-bills are a good investment? Because they believe that it gives low returns compared to other investments. Now, when you look at stocks, mutual funds, or real estate, you see that it can yield a much higher profits over time. And also, inflation can also erode your profits. And as a result of that, people don't think it's a good investment, because if inflation is higher than the T-bill rate, you are actually losing your purchasing power. And also, it's not a long-term wealth builder, because T-bills are, T-bills are great for security, but they won't make you rich in the long run. And that's the position of some people. But at the end of the day, T-bills work best as low-risk short-term investments, not necessarily as a tool for massive wealth creation. And so smart investors use these T-bills as part of a bigger financial strategy. So they keep some money in T-bills for security and stability, invest in stocks, business, and real estate for growth and wealth building, and also diversify to balance risk and reward. So the big question today is, where do you stand? Are T-bills a wise investment, or do you think they are overrated? Those are the questions we'll be asking our guests who will be joining us when we get into our roundtable discussion this morning here on the Business Breakfast on Zed. But that will be all for Business Brief this morning. We're going to get into the conversation proper. We get to understand what the rates are today and what to look out for in the coming days and all of that. And I think that is a very, very important conversation you shouldn't miss. If you want to invest your money, you want to get some returns, you want to make some more money on what you have already, then you might want to listen to the conversation and make a decision whether T-bills are a good investment for you or not. And I think that is something that will help you. So keep listening to us here on a Business Breakfast on Zed. When we get into our roundtable discussion, we'll talk about that. But up next is Transport Today with Solomon Tetenate, who's joining me in studio this morning for all the traffic to give you all updates on the traffic situations and also the flight schedules for the day. Stay tuned.
Have some rest, go
Exactly.
some maybe a restaurant or something, and then have some chill, because you have had a long week, so maybe the weekend.
Well, you receive your salary. We are talking about restaurant and all of that. Anyway, let's talk about transport today. What's happening?
All right, so I'm taking you through the flight schedules for today. And then we look at the traffic situation in town, and then lastly we just look at what is trending in the aviation world. So let me start with the flight schedules, and I'm starting with Passion Air, Accra to Kumasi. Passion Air, we have 6 flights available today. First flight takes off from Accra 6:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and gets to Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 8:50 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 9:30 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 10 a.m. and gets to Accra at 10:40 a.m. Third flight takes off from Accra 11:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 12 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 12:30 p.m. and gets to Accra at 1:10 p.m. Fourth flight takes off from Accra 1:50 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:30 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 3 p.m. and gets to Accra at 3:40 p.m. Fifth flight takes off from Accra 4:20 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 5 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 5:30 p.m. and gets to Accra at 6:10 p.m. and then the last flight for Passion Air Accra to Kumasi takes off from Accra 7:20 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 8:10 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 8:30 p.m. and gets to Accra at 9:20 p.m. So that is Passion Air Accra to Kumasi. Accra to Takoradi Passion Air. We have 2 flights available today. First flight takes off from Accra 6:20 a.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 7:10 a.m. and then takes off from Takoradi at 7:40 a.m. and gets to Accra at 8:30 a.m. Second flight, and that's the last flight for Passion Air Accra to Takoradi for today, takes off from Accra 4:20 p.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off from Takoradi at 5:40 p.m. and gets to Accra at 6:30 p.m. Accra to Sunyani Passion Air. We have 2 flights available today. First flight takes off from Accra 9:10 a.m. and then arrives in Sunyani at 10:10 a.m. and then takes off from Sunyani at 10:40 a.m. and gets to Accra at 11:40 a.m. and then the second flight takes off from Accra 1:50 p.m. and then arrives in Sunyani at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off from Sunyani at 3:10 p.m. and gets to Accra at 4:10 p.m. So that is Passion Air Accra to Sunyani. Accra to Wa Passion Air, we have 1 flight available today. It takes off from Accra 9:40 a.m. and then arrives in Wa at 11:20 a.m. and then takes off from Wa 11:40 a.m. and gets to Accra at 1:20 p.m. So that is Accra to Wa Passion Air. Accra to Tamale, we have 3 flights available today. Accra to Tamale Passion Air. First flight takes off from Accra 6 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:20 a.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 7:50 a.m. and gets to Accra at 9:10 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 12:20 p.m. and touches down in Tamale at 1:40 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 2:10 p.m. and gets to Accra at 3:30 p.m. and then the last flight for Passion Air Accra to Tamale takes off from Accra 4 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 5:20 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 5:50 p.m. and gets to Accra at 7:10 p.m. So that is Passion Air Accra to Tamale. Let's look at Africa World Airlines, the flight schedules for today, and let's start from Accra to Kumasi. We have 7 flights available today. Accra to Kumasi, Africa World Airlines. First flight takes off from Accra 6:20 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 7:30 a.m. and gets to Accra at 8:10 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 8:40 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 9:20 a.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 9:50 a.m. and gets to Accra at 10:30 a.m. Third flight takes off from Accra 11:40 a.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 12:20 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 12:50 p.m. and gets to Accra at 1:30 p.m. And fourth flight takes off from Accra to 10 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 3:20 p.m. and gets to Accra at 4 p.m. Fifth flight takes off from Accra 4:30 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 5:40 p.m. and gets to Accra at 6:20 p.m. And then last but one flight for Africa World Airlines, Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi takes off from Accra 6:50 p.m. and then arrives in Kumasi at 7:30 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 8 p.m. and gets to Accra at 8:40 p.m. The last flight for Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi takes off from Accra 7 p.m. and gets to Kumasi at 7:40 p.m. and then takes off from Kumasi at 8:10 p.m. and gets to Accra at 8:50 p.m. So that is Africa World Airlines Accra to Kumasi. Accra to Takoradi, Africa World Airlines. We have 3 flights available today. First flight takes off from Accra 6:40 a.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 7:20 a.m. and then takes off from Takoradi at 7:50 a.m. and gets to Accra at 8:30 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 2:10 p.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 2:50 p.m. and then takes off from Takoradi at 3:20 p.m. and gets to Accra at 4 p.m. And then the last flight for Africa World Airlines Accra to Takoradi takes off from Accra 4:30 p.m. and then arrives in Takoradi at 5:10 p.m. and then takes off from Takoradi at 5:40 p.m. and gets to Accra at 6:20 p.m. Accra to Tamale, Africa World Airlines. We have 5 flights available today for Accra to Tamale. First flight takes off from Accra 6:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 7:30 a.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 8 a.m. and gets to Accra at 9 a.m. Second flight takes off from Accra 9:30 a.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 10:30 a.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 11 a.m. and gets to Accra at 12 p.m. And then the third flight takes off from Accra 12:30 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 1:30 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 2 p.m. and gets to Accra at 3 p.m. Fourth flight takes off from Accra 2:20 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 3:20 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 3:50 p.m. and gets to Accra at 4:50 p.m. And then the last flight takes off from Accra 3:30 p.m. and then arrives in Tamale at 4:30 p.m. and then takes off from Tamale at 5 p.m. and gets to Accra at 6 p.m. So that is all for the flight schedules. Let's look at the traffic situation in town. Today being Friday, the traffic is not that intense. There is free movement in town. Let's look at Ebri Road. From Ebri, when you are entering Accra, you could see that the road is free. There's no traffic. You have a free flow from that place all the way to Adenta. Then from Adenta to Medina, you experience some traffic over there at the moment. So let's take note of that. And then today from Atomic to UPSA Junction, there's a bit traffic, but not intense as usually is. And also from Legon past Okponglo to Siashi, there's a free flow. There's no traffic over there at the moment. 37 Military Hospital to Afekiko. There's traffic and it's building up. It's not that intense, but it's building up at the moment, so we should take note of that.
Right.
And then when you're going to Circle, from Sankara to Circle or Paloma, there's no traffic. But when you're coming from Paloma to Sankara, there is traffic over there that we should also take note of at the moment. And then let's go to Kaswa Road from German to Malam Junction. There's also traffic over there at the moment that we should take note of. Kumasi Road, when you're coming from Kumasi, or you're coming from Sapema in Sawem or Amasaman, you experience a bit traffic at Pokwase, getting to Pokwase interchange. There is rest spot over there that we should take note of. And also when you get to Achimota Melcom, there's also rest spot there that we should take note of when you're coming from Kumasi or Pokwase or Amasaman. So that is the traffic situation in town today. There's less traffic, but there are some spots that you could see the rest spots there that we should take note of. So that is what is in the city of Accra, the traffic situation in the city of Accra. Today, Spirit Airlines officially exits Manchester Boston Regional Airport. So Spirit Airlines are not going to operate at Manchester Boston Regional Airport. Their last flight to that airport was May 7, 2024. And now the airport has officially, announced that the airline is not going to operate from over there.
But what are the reasons?
Okay, so in a statement, Manchester Boston Regional Airport although they acknowledge their commitment and partnership, but they were stating that there is some financial deficit or financial problem that they are facing at the moment, and so they are choosing some airports, and they are also closing some airports, or they are not going to operate in some airports at the moment. So that is why, and this is coming from the airline themselves. They announced that because of that situation, they won't be able to operate in some airports. So unfortunately, Manchester Boston Regional Airport is one of the airports that they won't be able to operate at the moment. So that is what is trending in the aviation center. And thank you so much for having me. This is all for Transport Today.
Thank you very much, Solomon Tetenati. Thank you for bringing us all of the updates. We are grateful. Well, we're going to get into market trends after this short break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Breakfast on Zed with me, Nature B. Hammond. And I have over the phone lines Emmanuel Boateng, our economic analyst, who's joining me this morning for us to break a few things down. Now, today, we're going to talk about the Foresight Africa 2025 to 2030 report. Now, this is a report that is brought to you by the Africa Growth Initiative at Brookings. And annually, they put together this report giving us updates on the key priorities or the top priorities for the African continent, what the African continent should focus on within this particular period. And this morning, I'm speaking to Emmanuel Boateng to help us understand a few things, what we ought to pay attention to as a continent and what we need to know as individuals or as businesses. And so we'll explore key themes shaping the continent's development, from economic transformation and trade to technology and governance. Our goal is not to only understand these issues, but also discuss actionable strategies for Africa's sustainable development. Now, Emmanuel has some deep expertise in African development and also economic policy, and that is why he's having this conversation with me. Emmanuel, good morning. How are you? Right, good to have you this morning on the Business Breakfast on Zed market trend segment.
Yeah, good to have you too. Just that you used about 10 minutes of my time.
Really?
Already.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. We'll find time, and we'll make it up sometime.
I guess I'll have 10 minutes of time.
All right, let's get into it. Now, Africa is home to some of the fastest growing economies. Yet it faces some structural challenges. Now, the Foresight Africa report highlights urbanization, digital transformation, trade integration, and also green energy as key drivers of the economy. Let's start by understanding what's shaping Africa's economic landscape. Now, what I want to know is that what are the key or the primary forces driving Africa's economic transformation, and what structural challenges could hinder progress?
All right, thank you very, very much for the question. It's a very important question. I want to begin by saying that, first of all, Africa's economic transformation is being shaped by 5 major forces, and with each of them carrying significant opportunities and risks. Now, I'll begin by looking at first the demographic dynamics in Africa and urbanization trend, which is really Africa's growth engine. That is Africa's growth engine. According to the report, Africa's population will reach about 1.7 billion by 2030. 2030 is 5 years away from now. With nearly 60% of that 1.7 billion under the age of 25, Raphael. 25% of Africa's population, 60% of Africa's population by 2030 will be under the age of 25 years. This youth bulge represents a double-edged sword for Africa. A vast labor force and consumer market if harnessed effectively, or an unemployment crisis if policies fail. The point I'm making this morning is that by 2030, Africa's population will be 1.7 billion. And about 60% of that population will be under the age of 25. Africa has the opportunity to convert that population, to convert that youthful population into a huge labor force and consumer market if they harness the population effectively. How? Invest in the education, invest in their training, put them on the path of the fourth industrial revolution, provide quality health care to them, and make them enablers, enable them to be able to push the frontiers of the prosperity of this continent. Or they will largely be unemployed if the policies that governments must push across the continent fail. There would be an urbanization boom in Africa. My second point, under that, by 2040, there's going to be a huge urbanization boom over 50% of Africa will reside in cities. A lot more people are going to move from the villages and the towns into the cities. Rapid urban growth fuels demand for infrastructure, demand for housing and jobs. But if unplanned, it can lead to slums, poor sanitation, and social unrest. Raphael, this morning I'm saying that rising youth unemployment, currently about 60% in some African economies, is something that is clear. If this population surge and urbanization increases, then we have a bigger issue to tackle. Africa should expand vocational training, digital skilling, and labor-intensive sectors like manufacturing and services. All of these should be expanded. There would also be poor urbanization or urban infrastructure that must be addressed. Prioritize smart city planning, affordable housing, and sustainable mass transit system. That is all about the first key driver. The first key driver of Africa's economic transformation, which is demographic and urbanization. The second is our digital and technological revolution. That is not just in Africa, but the rest of the world. I'm speaking to fintech and AI growth. Africa's fintech industry is projected to reach about $150 billion by 2025. This is 2025. Our fintech industry is going to reach about $150 billion. That is an opportunity. It will be driven by platforms like M-Pesa, which is in Kenya, Flutterwave in Nigeria, and MTN Mobile Money, which is in South Africa and Ghana. Low digital penetration. Internet access remains under 40% in many African nations, limiting inclusion in the digital economy. I am speaking about Africa's fintech industry reaching about $150 billion this year. There are some challenges. Africa's digital divide remains stuck. Heavy investment in broadband infrastructure, digital literacy, and AI-driven governance frameworks are the way to go. To solve our digital divide issue, this is what we ought to do. We also have cybersecurity and digital privacy concerns. We need policy. I mean, of course, already we have seen some efforts across many countries. And harmonize digital policies and AI governance across the continent. Then the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is the game changer. It's also driving the economic transformation of Africa. AFTA is the world's largest trade bloc, covering 1.4 billion people and a GDP of $3.4 trillion in Africa. What is our current trade reality? Intra-African trade just stands at 14% compared to 60% in Asia and 70% in Europe. AFTA will boost intra-African trade by 52% by 2030, cut tariffs by 90%, and drive a $450 billion economic expansion by 2035. There are some challenges, however. Poor transport infrastructure and high logistic costs. Governments must prioritize cross-border rail, roads, and port networks under public-private partnerships. There's another challenge of trade policy misalignment across African countries. How do we solve this? We should harmonize our tariffs, customs regulations, and quality standards. And all of these are captured under our Africa Continental Free Trade Arrangement. Maybe the last but not least, green energy and Africa's critical mineral advantage. Africa holds 70% of the world's cobalt and 60% of the world's manganese, both essential for electric vehicles and battery storage. Global competition for African resources is heating up. China, the United States, and the European Union are vying for control within the African continent. What are the challenges and how do we solve them? The first challenge is that Africa exports raw materials instead of processing them locally. We spoke about this yesterday. How do we solve this? Invest in mineral beneficiation plants and enforce local content laws. Another challenge is our dependence on fossil fuels. I mean, oil and gas contribute about 16% of Africa's GDP. We should shift to renewable energy and green manufacturing so that we are able to create jobs along that chain and economic value, and that will lead to economic transformation. Finally, it's our private sector growth and entrepreneurship. over 350 African companies generate more than $1 billion in annual revenue. But SMEs within the continent struggle with financing. The venture capital ecosystem is still underdeveloped. Africa attracts just 1% of global venture funding. There is a limited access to finance for SMEs. We should strengthen our capital markets, expand financial inclusion, and attract venture capital funding. There is high cost of borrowing due to weak financial institutions. We should be able to develop regional stock exchanges and fintech solutions for SME financing. These are the 5 key drivers of Africa's economic transformation and some of the challenges and what can be done to be able to salvage these challenges.
I like how you've broken them down extensively, even providing solutions, and I think that is good. But let's move to the sustainable development progress that we've made so far in the African continent. Now, the report states that less than 6% of Africa's SDGs are on track. Now, just for some context, the SDGs are the goals that are set by the United Nations, and they have to run from 2015 till 2030. So that is also in line with the period for this particular study, 2025 to 2030. Now, the report states that less than 6% of Africa's SDGs are on track. What are the major obstacles to progress, and what strategies do you think can accelerate achievement?
Thank you very much. You're right. The report was explicit that Africa is doing less than 6% in terms of the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. The key barriers: severe funding gaps. Africa requires about $200 billion annually to meet its SDGs, but only 50% of this funding is secured. In other words, we need $200 billion across the continent to be able to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, but we have barely $100 billion. We should implement some SDG bonds to rope in some funds from offshore accounts, from foreign countries and donor partners, among others. An SDG bond will be something that may be desired. Diaspora remittances and blended finance to close the gap. Another key barrier we face is that we have weak governance and corruption, weak governance structures. Governance within or across the region is quite weak, and corruption is on the rise. Political instability and mismanagement slow down SDG implementation. We should strengthen transparency laws, public accountability mechanisms, and maybe let's look forward into AI-driven governance tracking. Very, very important. Another challenge or barrier to our SDG progress are the climate change risk. Africa contributes less than 4% of global emissions, but suffers the worst climate shocks. Scale up, that's the bare fact. We contribute to less than 6% of global emissions in terms of the disruption of the global ecosystem. We are doing less than 6. Some people are doing more, and I enjoy it. However, we suffer the worst climate shock. That is very unfair. What do? We should scale up climate-smart agriculture and renewable energy projects so that at least we are able to protect ourselves from all of these climate shocks. The fourth and final barrier has to do with skills mismatch in education and jobs. 60% of Africa's youth workforce is underemployed. We should expand STEM education, we should expand vocational training, and we should expand digital skills development to be able to get all of these youthful labor force into employment.
I see. So there needs to be some investments in STEM and all of that.
Yes, there needs to be some investment.
Okay, now
human capital development. Yeah.
Right. Now, the African, when you were speaking earlier, you talked about the African Continental Free Trade Area. And your argument, I mean, from the report and from what you said, it means that that is something that is going to be a game changer for the African continent, isn't it?
Exactly.
Now, I want to know what key benefits can we expect, and what challenges must be addressed in line with that?
Thank you so much. I'll give you 3 key benefits, and I'll list 2 challenges and provide some solutions to them. The 3 benefits. Intra-African trade could increase by $450 billion by 2035. That is a benefit of African Continental Free Trade Area. 60 million new jobs would be created by 2030. The key benefits of Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Manufacturing growth. What do I mean? Cocoa processing in Ghana and La Côte d'Ivoire could shift from raw exports to high-value chocolates. And that will put Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire at the upper end of the curve to really make the margins. Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire contribute a significant majority of the cocoa beans needs of the world, but they get less than 5% in terms of the value chain. They get less than 5%. After, it's a way to make them gain more than the 5% they have now, maybe close to 20 or 30%. Challenges: poor infrastructure, and I highlighted that. High transport costs hinder trade within the region. You know, there is a known fact that Africa is connected to the rest of the world in terms of trade facilitation than it is connected to itself. And that must be checked. And so it is more expensive to move goods within Africa than to move goods from Africa to the rest of the world. That is a major barrier that must be addressed. We should invest in regional highways, ports, and digital customs platforms to be able to facilitate this trade. In addition to all the solutions to this transport or transportation deficit or infrastructure deficit that have been provided for in the African Continental Free Trade Area, their working documents and all of that. The next challenge is trade policy misalignment, regulatory bottlenecks. It slows down trade within the region. We should harmonize our tariffs, and we should we should digitalize our custom system, and that will be an effective way for us to boost intra-regional trade. Enjoy the benefits I have stated. Thank you, Raphael.
Should enjoy the benefits you've stated, yeah? Right. Anyway, so now debt crisis is something that Africa struggles with. Now, with 20 African countries in or at risk of debt distress, what policy measures can ensure some economic stability while also maintaining growth?
Right. Thank you so much, Raphael. With 20 African countries at risk of debt distress, Ghana, we were already at that risk, but currently it is okay. The former government, helped to bring that down. We saw some debt restructuring. We went to the IMF for additional funding, and the new government seeks also to bring that down a bit. So maybe let's put it on record that Ghana, we are no longer there to distress. But that was the reason for us going to the IMF. But as we speak, our debt level is better compared to when we had to make a call to the International Monetary Fund.
Right.
This is an important question. And the first, in terms of policy measures that can ensure economic stability while maintaining growth within Africa, the very first policy measure I'll point to is what Ghana did: restructure and diversify debt sources. We should shift from high interest Eurobonds to concessional loans. What are concessional loans? Loans that pay low rates of interest or no interest at all.
Right.
Negotiate debt relief with China, the IMF, Paris Club, among others. Because the Eurobond market, well, you get a lot of money there, but the cost of servicing that debt is very high. And that usually pushes African countries into debt distress. The second has to do with enhancing domestic revenue collection Africa's tax to GDP ratio is 16%, when the global average is 34%. 34%, 16%. That is about 18% short. We should expand our digital tax collection, close tax loopholes, increase compliance, and combat illicit financial flows from the region. That will be a way to enhance our domestic revenue collection. Finally, we should develop local capital markets. Issuing local currency bonds reduces external debt reliance. That is something Africa could explore in some coming years. I'm saying it now. In 10, 15, 20 years to come, it will be something that may be done in Africa. Developing local capital markets will be good to save Africa from debt servicing, to save Africa from currency depreciation, among others.
Right. Now, also, Africa's economic future will also be shaped by technological innovations. And when you were speaking, you mentioned the AI revolution and all of that. Now, Africa is rapidly adopting some digital technologies from fintech to AI. Yet challenges such as the digital divide, inadequate infrastructure, and also cybersecurity risks remain, isn't it? How can we, as Africans, or how can Africa leverage AI and emerging technologies for economic growth and development?
Raphael, if you could take the question again, I think I lost you at the point.
Yeah, so I'm asking that how can African governments maximize AI and emerging technologies for economic growth?
Oh, very well. Invest in digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure is a very key area. If you do not, we'll keep suffering and we'll be priced out. That is a very, very important question that you're asking this morning. We need to invest in digital infrastructure. We need to expand our 5G network and broadband connectivity. When I say we need to invest in digital infrastructure, that's what I mean. We need to enhance cloud computing and data storage capacity. That is for digital infrastructure. When it comes to AI, we need to regulate it ethically. We need to implement data privacy laws and cybersecurity policies. Upskill the workforce. 230 million digital jobs could emerge by 2030. Government must integrate coding, which our government seeks to do, AI and fintech into school curricula. And I'm happy about that. I am longing for, as the deer pants for the water brook, so my soul longs for Ghana to integrate coding, AI and fintech into school curriculum. We need that.
Right.
We need that. Raphael, could you imagine what would happen if a history student, a Greek student, not just engineering student, medical student, accounting, finance, economics, all manner of students from the various disciplines know the proper way to use artificial intelligence without over-relying on it for the academic needs, but properly use them to be able to, as it were, not make them intellectually incapable, but expand the ability to be able to, as it were, work hand in hand with their material and become better at what they do. And they are able to use this to be able to develop solutions to some perennial challenges that the countries in Africa have been facing. They are able to use this to get better at what they do, solve challenges, develop innovative solutions. What this country would be if Ghanaian students could use coding to do all the things that we have been expecting of them. Things will change very soon. And I think incorporating this is very, very, very important. We need to. Governments must prioritize broadband expansion, 5G rollout, and cloud computing. All of this will come to be able to support that. We need some public-private partnerships to be able to accelerate our fiber optic connectivity in underserved regions. 5G adoption, it remains under 5%. with digital connectivity gaps between rural and urban areas. Africa's internet penetration is just about 43%, far below the global average of about 66%. And when I speak about this, I speak about it with all my energy. We need to also expand AI research and development. AI startups in Africa have attracted over $3 billion in funding since 2021, particularly in fintech, healthcare, and agritech. Fintech, financial technology, healthcare, agricultural technology, that is agritech. AI-driven predictive analysis or analytics can revolutionize sectors like agriculture, healthcare, supply chain management, and the financial sector. We need to establish AI research hubs and government-backed innovation centers to foster tech talent, provide grants and tax incentives for startups working on AI solutions tailored to Africa's challenges. And when it comes to the ethics and ensuring data privacy, Africa currently lacks comprehensive AI regulation. Only South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya have partial AI governance frameworks. Without AI regulation, cyber threats and misuse of personal data could become rampant, and that does not meet international standards, and that will not serve us well. What do we do then? We need to implement continent-wide AI governance policies under the African Union. We need to strengthen our cyber security laws, data protection policies, and ethical AI frameworks. Maybe let me add some last two. Upskilling and workforce to compete. Upskilling the workforce to compete in the AI economy. The AI economy is big. It's not just in Ghana. It's not just in Africa. It's in the entire world. By 2030, AI and automation could generate 230 million digital jobs in Africa alone. However, less than 10% of African students graduate with AI, data science, or coding skills. You see what I was alluding to, the point I was making earlier. The number of jobs that will be created across digital landscape, AI and automation, is 230 million. Less than 10% of students who graduate from African universities have AI, data science, and coding skills. You see the huge deficit there.
Yeah.
We need to introduce AI, coding, and fintech courses even in senior high schools, and kudos to the former education minister for starting this, and in the universities as well. We need to scale up STEM education and vocational training programs for software development, machine learning, and cloud computing. See, I'm heavy on it. Software development, machine learning, and cloud computing. Maybe one day we'll get into some serious discussion as to what these things mean and how they are going to benefit us. We need to boost AI education in key sectors. Fintech, AI-driven credit scoring. You know, credit rating has become something in Ghana that it took the center stage for some time. But of course, maybe one day when our vice president becomes president, we are hopeful that he'll bring it forward. Or whoever becomes president, it is our prayer that they will not forget credit scoring or credit rating. Fraud detection is something that needs to be looked at. A mobile money banking solution. They are transforming financial inclusion. Healthcare, AI-powered diagnostics, robotic surgery. Robotic surgery is happening elsewhere, not in Africa anyway. And telemedicine, they could improve healthcare access for 600 million Africans. In agriculture, AI-powered drones, smart irrigation, and blockchain-based food supply chains can increase crop yield by up to 40%. Raphael, these things that I'm talking about, they are not theory. They are things happening elsewhere. And they are things that I'm saying that Africa can look at, leverage on, and include it within our region to be able to improve our financial inclusion, to be able to improve healthcare access and quality, to be able to improve agriculture, the gains we make within agriculture framework. Our government must incentivize AI adoption through subsidies and tax breaks for AI-driven businesses. Our government should establish a national AI strategy to integrate AI into public services, healthcare, agriculture, and education.
I see. Ima, thank you. Because of time, we won't be able to further the conversation.
Then take my last word.
Okay, all right.
If Africa embraces AI and digital transformation, it could boost the GDP by some $1.5 trillion by 2030. Yeah. Countries that lag behind in AI adoption risk being locked out of the global digital economy. With strong investment in AI infrastructure, regulation, and talent development, Africa can lead the next wave of technological transformation. The future of Africa's economy depends on how fast it can close the digital divide and embrace AI-driven innovation. Never forget, over 60% of Africa's population will be less than 25 years.
By 2030. Thank you very much, Ima. We are grateful that you gave us all of these insights.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. So that was Emmanuel Boating, our economic analyst here at Z 101.9 FM. He was helping us understand the Foresight Africa 2025 to 2030 report that was put together by the Africa Growth Initiative. And that's a report that is put together to determine where we need to focus on, what we need to do as a continent between this space using some data, right? And he's made us understand that some of the key drivers of the shift in Africa between 2025 from now till 2030 are the demographics of the continent, and also some digital and technology revolution that is going on, and also the African continental free trade area, and also green transition, and then the private sector growth and entrepreneurship. Those are things you might want to look out for. You may want to go get the report and spend some time reading and position yourself very well for the next 5 years. And I believe that will be something that will help you a lot. All right, anyway, so we're going to get into our roundtable discussion very soon, but I have a special interview this morning with the FinTech, with the Ghana FinTech Award organizers. They're going to help us understand what exactly it is and all other things that you need to know about the award. So please stay tuned, but we're going to go for a quick break. When we return, we get into that conversation. 1.9 FM. As we have about 14 minutes to the top of the hour, and we're going to get into a very important conversation this morning. But the song in the background, I'm sure you were enjoying it, is La Même Gang, and that is Reveal. Very powerful song. Anyway, so today we're diving into one of the biggest celebrations of financial technology here, financial technology innovation here in Ghana, and that's the Ghana FinTech Awards. Now, this prestigious event recognizes outstanding contributions and groundbreaking innovations in the fintech space, and it honors individuals and companies driving financial inclusion and technological advancement in the country. And joining me today to share the insights into this year's event is Christina Swan Awaga, who is the project coordinator for Ghana FinTech Awards. And she's seated here, ready to have this conversation. Christina, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Nee. And thank you very much for the invitation to be on Zed Multimedia TV.
You're most welcome. Yeah, we're glad to have you. Now, Ghana FinTech Awards.
Yes.
What is it about?
Well, first of all, like you mentioned, and you did a very good job in your summary, was to actually highlight the fact that our main purpose is to identify innovation and the groundbreaking technology within the space as it relates to financial technology. And in identifying those technologies within the space, we want to celebrate the success of companies as well as individuals within the space over time. The fintech space is not the very similar day-to-day operations like that of the banking system. It's quite a tough space.
Right.
It's quite an innovative space. And so companies have to keep up. And so when companies keep up with that sort of kind of innovation and the speed and the pace in which financial technology operates, then it means that they are doing a great job. And no one knows about it unless you celebrate them.
Right.
And so we want the Ghana FinTech Awards to be an ecosystem event where all companies within the space, individuals can come and have an idea of what is going on and understand what are some of the safe platforms to also use. Because as much as we want to promote innovation, we also want persons to know what platforms are the ones that they should actually use. And so our entire dream is to help or support the ecosystem to build strong ties between the community and also the companies.
Right.
At this point, Ghana is seated in a very good place in a sense of, as it relates to the other countries in Africa, we are doing very well in terms of the growth. If we were to look at how many fintech companies are within the space presently, we can say that maybe safely that there are almost 100 companies.
Wow.
There are over 50 plus licensed companies with the Bank of Ghana, and persons can also get that information by going to the Bank of Ghana website, and it's available as to what companies are licensed. And so there are all different aspects within fintech that people don't understand. Sometimes they think it's just payments, but fintech is not just about payments, and that is what we are there for, to educate that there are a lot of other areas that make up the digital financial space. So you can be in agriculture, you can be in education, you can be in health, you can be in cybersecurity, you can also be in accounting, and you can also be part of the fintech space. As long as everything that you do can be done on a mobile phone, and you can make payments on the mobile phone, then you just receive services digitally. That is what fintech means.
Wow.
Right? Financial technology. Yes.
Amazing. That's a very long one and very in-depth. I like it. I like how you answered that question. Now, this event, of course, has become a major highlight. I've seen it going around for some time now. But I want you to tell me, how many years has Ghana FinTech Awards been running, and what are some of the key milestones from past editions?
Okay, so we have been in the running for 4 years. This is the 4th edition of the Ghana FinTech Awards. And it's very interesting to note that the Ghana FinTech Awards started after COVID-19. Right.
Okay.
And our story is that at the point of COVID-19, you know what happened. Everything went digital. Everybody was trying to not have any form of contact. And so due to that period, there was a boom in the digital fintech space. And the boom happened, and Ghana was not fully together for the boom. And what I mean when I say that is that within the ecosystem, there was no unity among the companies. There were no organization representing them. There was no way of identifying what was actually within the space. And so at that point, we looked at the space. And the founder, who is Martin Kwame Awaga, which is my husband, of course, he is an economist within the fintech space, within the finance space. And through that, he also saw the vision that financial technology was going to be the future. And he felt at that time the importance of bringing together the ecosystem. And so our first event in 2020 was an online event. It couldn't happen physically. And usually we don't count that one. So you can say it was 5, but we are saying 4 because the first physical one was in 2021. And in that physical one, it was a 2-day event. It was actually 1 day of conference where we invited a lot of ecosystem players, regulators, etc., to come and have a discussion. As to what was actually happening and what do we need as a collaborative effort to ensure that we are ready and prepared for what is coming. And that is where the whole idea of let us celebrate the companies at the time that existed within the space. So we would have started with 13 categories that year. And it happened the next year. It was very small. The support was not there. We went to some companies to get support. And quite interestingly, because it was new, they felt that, oh, you guys should pull it off first and then come back. We did pull it off. Right? We felt it was going to be small, but we're going to pull it off. And we did get the support we needed at that point from most of the ecosystem players, and we pull it off. And after that event, we realized that, you know, we don't just want it to be an event. We want it to be a continuous work within the ecosystem that we are helping and supporting companies and individuals. And from that was birthed the Ghana FinTech and Payments Association. Right? It was something that was needed as a representation or a voice for the companies within the fintech ecosystem. And so the Ghana FinTech and Payments Association was launched at the 2nd edition of the Ghana FinTech Awards. Right? And then after that, we saw the boom and the growth in the whole entire system. Not just that, I must also mention that KPMG also came on board with us. So they are our validator of the entire process. And that was as a result of review of what we were doing. We never wanted to fail. We wanted it to be something that would continue to grow. We looked at what happened with all the other awards, and we realized that they were honorary awards. And with honorary awards, it leaves room for, you know, misunderstanding, companies being missed, and all of that. So we decided to come up with a very robust process that will ensure that we do not leave out anyone within the ecosystem. We don't know it all. We wouldn't know all the companies, but we can get help from persons within the space to give us information. And that will take us to the process. Right? And if you want me to...
Sure, we'll get there. I just want to know, let's focus a bit on this year's event. So what's the theme and why was it chosen?
Okay. So the theme this year is building trust within the Ghana's digital ecosystem. And it's the essential role of cybersecurity and fraud, right? Data privacy.
Right.
And the reason for that is because over the years, we are promoting technology, yes. We want persons to use the digital platforms. However, we cannot forget or dismiss the fact that there are some cybersecurity threats, that there are some data privacy issues within the space.
Okay.
And it could be from the outside or it could be from the inside. There's a lot of education that is happening within the space, maybe from Bank of Ghana, etc. But sometimes when we educating, we use a lot of high-level language and jargons on all these things, and it is missed. People don't understand it. And when persons don't understand something, they stay away from it. And so you still have a lot of persons within the space who are not using digital financial technology because they feel that it's not safe. They lost money. And so within the period, we had a report as well. Bank of Ghana always produces reports. And we noticed that when we look at the trend, the cybersecurity threats was increasing. The losses was increasing. So the losses we are talking about in the millions, like 82 million to 89 million from 23,000 to 2024. Yes. So with that, we felt, you know what? Let us focus on educating our viewers, our attendees, our companies as well, because some of those cybersecurity threats come from the inside. Right?
Yeah.
Same staff who are working, who understand the system, can also break the system, or maybe carelessly do activities that they may think would not hurt the system, and they open the doors for cyber attacks. There are persons, companies out there who are set up just to break systems. That is their job. So companies need to make sure that they are very well protected.
Right. So that is why we have the theme for this year. Excellent. Yes. I think I get it. I get it now. Right. Now let's come back to the criteria for selection.
Yes.
What can you walk us through the selection criteria for nominees? What does it take to be recognized, and how many award categories are there?
Okay. So the award categories grow and they reduce. So last year we had over 34 categories, and this year we had 28. What is the reason for the reduction? Over time, we are able to see how some of the categories can be combined to make one.
Okay.
And so that was the reason for the reduction. Now, secondly, we open nominations to the public. And we start very early in the whole entire process. So it starts in October of the year before. So if you realize, we are saying that we are the Ghana FinTech Awards, or the 4th edition 2024. And the reason why it's 2024 in 2025, because we are reviewing the year previous.
Right.
So we are reviewing the entire 2024. So whatever we are celebrating in the upcoming event on Saturday is for companies who would have performed within the 2024 year.
Okay.
Right? And then in order for us to identify who these companies are, we put links out there, we promote, we do a launch, we let people know that, hey, we have started seeking companies who are interested in becoming part of the awards. And that way, both individuals and also companies are given the opportunity to nominate companies. And this is a very good exercise for us, because a lot of the times we see companies who we never saw before, who we never knew existed. And then it also helps us to understand what they do. And so in that process, we, at the end of nominations, when we close it, we contact all of the companies and let them know that they were nominated. We give them the opportunity to accept whether they want to be part of the entire process or not. And then when they share their interest and they said that they are interested, we take them to the next level. Now, the next level includes several different aspects of it. Every year we changed it and we review it to see what works and what does not work. And so we have a voting process. Where we also allow companies to promote to their customers that they are within an award. scheme, and so that they can support them, right? We also have a jury who review all of the companies in detail. So before that, we do not just rely on the information that is on the internet. We also write the companies and ask them to submit their presentations.
Okay.
Right? Now, depending on the category that they are in, they will be required to submit other additional details. For example, maybe financial statements, information that would help us understand how well they are performing within the space. We may want to know more about their platform as well. We may need them to submit information on their platform on how we access it to understand what is happening. Now, in addition to that, we do a lot of other analysis in terms of UI UX, in terms of how the view is on your platform, in terms of the app, how easy is it to use, how easy it is for someone to register. All of that we take into consideration. So it's very, very in-depth. And so when we come on the night, a lot of companies sometimes are a bit shaken because, wow, they thought they were the best in certain aspects, and only to realize that there are other companies that are on par with them. And so some of them actually go back to the drawing board and they put themselves together and decide to work on their product, whether it be for speed, whether it be for safety, whether it be for diversification, adding more services onto their platform to make it a more unified platform. But whatever it is, we encourage the companies to diversify, innovate, and be part of the ecosystem. There are a lot of companies who enjoy the process. Yes.
I see. So what are the general things you ask for when you are seeking their inputs? I mean, in terms of the document you're supposed to submit, what are the general things you ask for? Because you mentioned the ones that you ask when, depending on the award category.
Yes. So like I mentioned, let's say Young FinTech Leader of the Year. Now, in order for you to be qualified as a Young FinTech Leader of the Year, you first of all have to be within a certain age range. So in order for us to know that you are within that age range, we ask you to submit your Ghana card. Right? And that way we are able to verify whether you qualify or not. And of course, we've had quite a few instances where the person did not qualify. They were above the age. So that is a way of us also validating whether the persons who we actually have on the list are actually qualified to be there. Right? As well as you may have categories that require a lot of maybe licensing regulations. For example, Compliant FinTech of the Year. We will have to request information on your license, whether you are ISO certified, and all of those extra additional documents. And so every company would not be requested the same thing. It depends on the category, like I mentioned.
Great. Now, how about the jury? You said there's a jury. How do you put up the jury?
Okay, so in the past, we selected the jury on our own by industry professionals. What we did this year, which was a little bit different, we opened it out to the public. We sent out a notification for persons interested in becoming judges. And so we went through all the necessary areas. We did interviews, we did our necessary due diligence on them, tried to understand what value are they bringing to us, because being a judge for this type of awards, it would require you having a lot of knowledge within the fintech space. And I noticed that people are also making a lot of mistakes with putting banking people, solely banking people, in the fintech space. And that is a huge mistake, because what is required for the fintech space is not necessarily what would be required for the banking space. And so it's very important for us to get the quality judges that we need to do the necessary reviews. And so that is the process that we go through. So quite a bit of persons apply. We go through the interview process, and then we decide whether you qualify or not, and then we move on to the next stage.
I see the seriousness attached to the award scheme, and I mean that's a very good thing. Now, what are there any key highlights that we can expect this year? For instance, any special performances, new award categories, or some surprises we should look forward to?
Okay. Well, I think I want to focus on the fun parts.
Okay.
Right. For us, yes, it's recognizing the companies within the space, but we also try as much as possible to do an activity that will be fun and yet educational.
Okay.
And last year we had a debate, and it was due to the theme, directly related. It was compliance against innovation. And it was very interesting. Like, for the entire year, people were talking about that debate.
Wow.
And I would like persons to go on YouTube. You can still look for it. It's there. We uploaded it. You can watch it. It was fun, right? Even at the end.
What should people putting on YouTube to find that?
The Ghana FinTech Awards debate,
okay.
And they will see it.
All
yes. We at the end of the debate, we allow for discussion from professionals within the space to talk about innovation and compliance. We also gave the attendees an opportunity to vote for their favorite team.
Oh.
Yes, and all of that was fun. Innovation, of course, won over compliance. We understand and we respect that compliance is needed, and it's very, very important. Actually, they should go hand in hand, and compliance should actually be always at the forefront in terms of technology to be able to identify the innovation and to work with the innovation rather than stifling the innovation. And that is really what we wanted to bring out. That there is innovation, yes, but innovation must also be controlled. And even with controlling innovation, you can't control it too much to stifle it from its growth. So there is a balance in everything that you do. But this year, as we mentioned, cybersecurity and fraud. So we are having Village Minds production. Coming to do a 5-series drama, play, skit, however you want to call it, right? So this year, the Ghana FinTech Awards would also be offering theater style education.
Wow.
And we try to make it as simple as possible. We are bringing it straight to the table so that people could understand and it can remain in their minds in a different way. So that's our way of telling the story of how you should be able to identify cybersecurity threats and attacks, how you should try to be attentive and vigilant, how it will come to you in ways that might seem that it was okay and then you was actually being defrauded. And these are the things that we want to show, but in a fun way. So persons go to the theater hall to watch theater and all of that, but we are actually doing it within the awards this year. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We have persons trying to get their registration and the tickets and all of that and whatever. I want to say it is limited, so persons should really try. I realize it is a Ghana, well, I shouldn't say just Ghana, but it is a kind of lifestyle that we have, that we wait until the last minute to get our tickets, to get to a certain event, and sometimes we missed because we wait too late. So let us not be the too late. I want everyone to try to register. It's a very easy process. You go on the website GhanaFinTechAwards.org and you will see the ticket there. There are different areas. You can be VVIP, VIP, regular or popular, and then you can make your payment online as well and get your ticket online. And it's a very nice process. We are having all the necessary other fun things like the photo booth and the 360 degrees photo. Yeah, we are having fun on that day. We're also having red carpet. It's going to be streamed live by MX24. And it's a fashion statement as well, I must say. The professionals within the space rarely come out on the nights. People plan what they're going to wear. They come to look nice, glamorous, and network, and it's quite a fun night. So I just want persons to don't miss it this year. Once you hear about it, you should be part of it. Yes,
you should be part of it. I know these kinds of events actually attract key industry players and all of that.
Yes.
Who are some of the people that are coming? Who are the speakers sponsors that are going to be there?
Well, this year, we must give kudos to the ecosystem. We have quite a lot of persons coming. We have the president of the Cybersecurity Authority coming.
Wow.
We have the Ghana Stock Exchange also coming. We have representatives who we've invited from the Bank of Ghana to also be there. We also always love to have Gibbs, which is also part of the entire system, who comes and supports. We have quite a lot of, what I must say, companies who are also doing similar things like us. For example, the Africa FinTech Summit. I don't know if you've heard about it before, but it's quite a huge event in the Africa ecosystem. They are also coming to launch the Ghana edition at the Ghana FinTech Awards.
Wow.
And so they are partnering with us to actually have that ecosystem event here in Ghana. And we are very, very proud to do that. We've also had quite a lot of other companies from Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, who have also shown their interest of being at the event. Some of them are already here, some of them are on their way here, and we look forward to that. We have embassies who also supports us, like the Suriname Embassy, the Barbados Embassy. We have quite a lot of support within the space. If I were to name, I would have to name a lot. But I don't want to also forget that we also have sponsors. And it's very important for me to mention them. You know why? Because like I mentioned, what happened in the first event, people were a little bit scared as to how they support the event, because they were not sure what our purpose was, whether our intentions were pure, what we really wanted to do. And over time, the companies have seen how great we have grown. And due to that, this year we have overwhelming support. Huawei is our headline sponsor. Right?
Wow.
Yes. And they are on board, unwavering. Like, we can't even, thank them enough for how much they have come through for us this year. Having those type of events are very expensive.
That's true.
We get support every year from different areas and angles, but we have NIBS, which is also the business school. This year, they have launched their master's program in fintech. And so one of our members as well on the team is also part of that master's program. And so they are partly sponsored, and we want persons to understand that we also want people to seek education in those areas. We also have Baza Tech with us. We have Margins. We have MTech. We have Liquid, we have Ghana Stock Exchange, we have Yellow Card, we have Ensionam, we have Wuppercar.
Wow.
So even with Wuppercar, they have noticed that over the years we have had this award and we do not own a car. And so they've offered us 2 vehicles, 2 vans, SUVs, and 2 drivers. And for the last 2 weeks, everything that we've had to do has been taken care of to drive us everywhere, even for me coming to this program now.
Great.
And so we really appreciate Wuppercar for coming on board to support us in this process. So these are our sponsors, and it is not closed. We are still open to sponsors. If persons want to sponsor, they can contact me on 059-838-5685, and we will definitely entertain. Yes. So it's 059-838-5685, and of course it's me, Christina. And so we will definitely have a conversation. It doesn't matter how much you want to support with. At this point, we are welcome any companies who want to become sponsors.
Great.
Yes.
Now our time is fast spent, so let's run us through where the event is happening and then the time.
Great.
As well.
So it's going to be at Labadi Beach. Adisa Pavilion.
Okay.
And it's going to be on this Saturday, March 1st. And we are starting at 5:30 p.m. with the red carpet interview. And then we are hoping to start the event exactly at 6 p.m. sharp. So we would like people to be early so that we can get them seated on time. We have quite a bit of dignitaries that we are going to have present that I did not mention when you said we were going to have speakers. And that is, for you to know, you have to come. Yes.
Right.
And so we want persons to know that it is a very supported ecosystem event, especially by the government of Ghana.
Right. Okay,
yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Christina, for coming. I mean, you've shared a lot of insights, and I believe that Ghana FinTech Awards is something that everybody must be able to attend. And so we are grateful that you came.
Thank you.
Is there any final words before you go?
I just want to say, see you there, see everyone at the event, and please don't miss it. Yes.
So please don't miss it. Ghana FinTech Awards is happening tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow. So make sure you grab your ticket. But can people get tickets there?
We wish that they do it online simply because it's everything digital.
Right.
Yes.
So go online and grab your ticket. Christina, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So that was Christina Awaga. Yes, and she is a project coordinator for Ghana FinTech Awards, and she's been making us understand what the whole award is about. And it's happening tomorrow on the 1st of March. So make sure that you attend at Labadi Beach at the Sa Pavilion. Right. All right. So thank you very much, Christina, one more time. Well, now we're going to get into our big conversation for today. And we're going to talk about treasury bills this morning. And it's a very important conversation you don't want to miss. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we get into that.
Have you heard the buzz about fintech lately? It's not just a trendy word, it's a revolution in the world of finance.
That's right. FinTech, short for finance and technology, is all about using innovation to make financial services faster, smarter, and more accessible.
Think mobile money, digital payments, crowdfunding, and even cryptocurrency. These aren't just payment buzzwords. They are tools shaping how we save, spend, and invest.
And Ghana is leading the charge in Africa. That's why events like the Ghana FinTech Awards are so important. They celebrate the innovators driving this change.
This year's theme, building trust in Ghana's digital economy. The essential roles of cybersecurity and data privacy couldn't be more timely. It's about ensuring, as we innovate, we also protect and empower users.
Absolutely, Benjamin. Trust is the foundation of any digital economy, and cybersecurity and data privacy are at the heart of that trust.
And you can be a part of this all-important conversation. Join us for the 4th installment of the Ghana FinTech Awards on Saturday, the 1st of March, 2025 at the stunning Labadi Beach Hotel.
The event starts at 5:30 p.m. and trust me, it's going to be an unforgettable evening of inspiration, networking, and celebration.
Tickets are available at www.ghanafintech.awards.org. Whether you're reserving a seat or securing a premium table for your team, you don't want to miss out.
And if you want your brand to shine among industry leaders, sponsorship opportunities are still open. Contact Christina at 059-838-5685 or email her at christina@ghanafintech.awards.org for details.
So mark your calendars and join us as we celebrate the visionaries shaping the world of finance.
Because when innovation meets trust, the possibilities are endless.
We can't wait to see you there.
I'm Yairaike Ofori.
And I'm Benjamin Aka.
We'll be your hosts for the evening.
Let's build a
safer,
stronger digital economy
together.
Stay tuned to your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
My level
Zed
Maybe today I don't get nothing, but tomorrow I go get something. And I go buy the motor for mama. But the enemy won't worry me. I go show all of them tragedy. No be today, we start to. So if I sing my song, if I keep up for long, because you don't know that day, oh Jesus Christ, he go come. So if you see me today, I know my level. time I waka yo. I mean I can go more better lonely story. By the time I buy my Toyota, Flossy Kama. What a lovely story. I don't live this life, yo, because I got my Bible, yo. Because the blessings I get from the Most High is so great, though. So if you see me today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. Anybody for Bishop Head today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. Maybe today I don't get nothing, but tomorrow I go get something. And I go buy a motor for mama. But the enemy won't worry me. I go show all of them tragedy. No be today, we start to. So if I sing my song, if I keep up for long, because you don't know that day, oh, Jesus Christ, he go come. So if you see me today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. Anybody publish a pen today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level.
It's your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio.
Maybe don't get nothing, but tomorrow I go get something. And I go buy a motor for mama. But the enemy won't worry me. I go show all of them tragedy. No be today, we start to. So if I sing my song, if I keep up for long, because you don't know that day, oh, Jesus Christ, he go come. So if you see me today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. Anybody publish a pen today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. The time I waka yo. I mean I can go more better lonely story. By the time I buy my Toyota, Flossy Kama. What a lovely story. I don't live this life, yo, because I got my Bible, yo. Because the blessings I get from the Most High is so great, though. So if you see me today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. Anybody for Bishop Head today, I know my level. I know my level. Oh, my level. Maybe today I don't get nothing, but tomorrow I go get something. And I go buy a motor for mama. But the enemy won't worry me. I go show all of them tragedy. No be today, we start to.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us here on the Business Breakfast on Zed with me, Trebi Hammond. And this morning on our roundtable discussion, we're going to talk about treasury bills. Now, many Ghanaians want to invest their money wisely, but finding the right low-risk option can be challenging. And treasury bills have always been a safe investment, but are they still profitable in today's economy? Today, we're going to break all of that down. And joining us is an expert who will help us analyze Ghana's T-bill market, and is in the person of Benjamin Nathan Ochi, who is a certified or licensed financial planner and advisor. Benjamin, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're very calm.
I mean, it's a good morning. I mean, it's a calm day, so
right.
I'm taking it easy.
Right.
Yeah.
I like your outfit as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Before we dive into the technical details, let's say someone comes to you this morning and says that I want to invest in T-bills. Should I do that? What would be a quick answer to give the person?
Well, unfortunately, there's no quick answer. I always tell people that as professionals as we are, you don't advise people to just go straight to invest in an instrument.
Right.
It's not a good advice. Anybody who does that is not a professional.
Okay.
It's not a good investment advisor. Now, what you actually have to do is actually assess the person very well.
Okay.
Now, we assess actually with about 3 questions, and for me, I do it 4. Number 1 is, why do you want to invest in treasury bill? What is your investment objective? So if the person is able to tell you the objective, then you'll be able to know whether T-bill is a good option for you. Number 2 is, what is the person's risk appetite?
Okay.
You understand? Probably the person is a high risk person, okay, and you probably want to recommend something else. But because he or she has heard of treasury bills, he thinks that is the investment for him or her. The third is investment period. For how long do you want to invest?
Right.
You understand? And then probably the fourth is your financial strength. How is your budget looking like? Okay. Because when you look at people's budget, you realize that they actually don't have even any surplus to invest.
Right.
Or whatever is in their budget is not the smart budget way.
Okay.
Because we have always been involved in trying to budget our money where we have our income, and then we start spending on the non-discretionary items down to wherever we get to, and we say, okay, what am I left to invest? And that is the wrong way. That is absolutely wrong way of doing your budget or spending your money. First of all, you have to involve, or let me say, add treasury bills, add investment, and all other kinds of things that will actually give your life a better status in the future.
Right.
First, before you spend the other ones. So if you're able to answer these 4, then I can say that, okay, treasury bill is for you, or stocks is for you, real estate, crypto, or any of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that's just so that we get to set a good foundation. What exactly are treasury bills, and how do they work?
Right. So treasury bills are actually short-term investments that every sovereign nation or every government issue to solicit funds from the public for its own expenses or operations or whatever. So it could be to pay salaries, to do certain initiatives. Anything that involves the government spending. So that is treasury bill. Now, treasury bill works differently from other asset classes like the stocks, maybe the real estate, and the Gen Zs, the cryptos, and all that. Now, treasury bill has 3 different kinds of maturities, okay, or let me say 3 different kinds of treasury bills. We have the 91 days, which is the 3 months. We have 182 days, which is the 6 months, and we have the 364, which is the 1 year.
Okay.
Each and every one of them has different yields that is attached to it. So 91 days could be maybe 20%. 182 is not 20%, maybe different, maybe 21 or 22. And then 364 will have a different one, maybe let's say 23. So each and every one of them has different rates.
Right.
Now, one thing you should know is that the rate is not per the maturity days that you have. So let's say you buy 91 days. If it is giving you, assuming it's giving you 20%, it doesn't mean that after 3 months you are getting 20%. All the rates that is given across the maturities are per annum, which means it's per year.
Okay.
Yes. And that's the mistakes we sometimes do. I went to lecture in a school last weekend, and one person was telling me that he went to a certain bank, and after putting his 2,000 or 9,000 there, when he came back, the rate was small. The interest return was small. And I asked, how much were you given, or how much were you communicated in terms of the yield? And it was like, he said 25% or 26% thereabout. So I was like, okay, so what will be your calculation? When he calculated, the amount was higher than what they gave him. So I was like, you see, this is a mistake you did, and probably the person didn't have the time to explain.
Right.
The rate you are given is per annum. So when you do for 3 months, that rate is divided into 4.
Oh.
Why? Because let's say the 3 months that you are doing, or the 91 days you are doing, we have 3 months in a year about 4 times. January to March, April to June, and so on.
Like that, right?
Yes. So you are doing just for that quarter or that first 3 months. So after that, that is where we'll be able to see that, okay, we have to divide this rate into four and give you a quarter
so
on your money.
So if it's 20%, then that will be 5%.
Exactly. So you are getting 5% actually on your money.
Oh.
It is when you go through all the 4 quarters, that's where people say, I'm going to roll over. And with the rollover also comes with certain instructions and how dynamic it is. You get to know. So if it is when you go through all the 4 quarters in a year, that is where probably you earn the 20%.
Right.
Fully. Yeah. So
it.
that's how Treasury bill works. I mean, in brief. Yeah.
Very interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I'm sure there are many people who didn't know also. Now, what makes Treasury bills different from other government securities like bonds? What's the difference?
Okay, so Treasury bill is unique in its own nature, right? But it's also part of something we call the debt instruments, where somebody will say, other people will also say the fixed income market. Okay, and with the fixed income market, that's where you find all the other things like the bonds, the notes, you see, and the Treasury bills and all that. But Treasury bill, as I said, has 3 different, what do you call it, categories, or let me say 3 different maturities. Now, with these 3 different maturities, it has its rate that is attached, okay, to it. And every rate that is attached is per annum, it is per year.
Right.
So if you do the 3 months, divided by 4, you get a quarter. If you do it for 6 months, divided by 2, you get half. If you do it for 1 year, you get a full rate. Okay. Right. So that's how different it is. And governments are the one that issue Treasury bills. Okay. Only government, sovereign nations. So you can't have companies issuing Treasury bills.
Okay.
You can't have municipals or let me say district offices opening, soliciting for Treasury bills. It is only government. Now, it is issued through the Bank of Ghana on behalf of government. That is how Treasury bill works. Now, when it comes to bonds and the other ones, they are also quite different. And even though they have certain similarities, they are quite different. For example, the bonds that you want us to compare. Bond is also a debt instrument issued by the government, number 1. It can be issued by corporations or companies, number 2. It could be issued by even municipal assemblies. Yes. So bond is more of you being able to issue across board. Certain institutions can issue these bonds. And bonds in a normal day pay returns every 6 months. So we have something we call the coupon rate. So when you have a bond, let's say you have a 3-year or 5-year bond, and let's say the return, the coupon rate is about 25%. What it means is that in a year, okay, the 25% will be divided into 2, and in the first 6 months, you'll be paid an interest.
Right.
Then the second 6 months, you'll be paid another interest, and that will continue until the life of the bond is exhausted. If it's 3-year bond or 5-year bond, until it is 5 years time, the bond is still alive, and payment will be done to you. When it's in the 5th year, in the last 6 months, the coupon payment or the interest is paid to you, and then your principal that you invested in the bond is also paid back to you. So there are small or little dynamics here and there, and you need to understand it.
Okay. Now let's get into the details proper. Now, what are the current interest rates for Treasury bills in Ghana, and how do they compare to previous years?
Right. So the current bills we have. So last week we did an auction on Friday. In fact, today is an auction day.
Yes, an auction day.
And last year, it's been decreasing. Treasury bills has been decreasing. I think 91 days is hovering around 24, and then 182 is around 25, 26 thereabout, and then 364 is around 27. So it is very likely today, by the end of the day, or let's say by tomorrow, Bank of Ghana will publish it on their website, and I anticipate it dropping further because the base, let me say, the target that government was seeking to get is even lower than the previous. Okay, and the previous, about 20 billion was submitted for these treasury bills, and the government accepted just 8 billion. So now there's about 11 point something billion in the system rejected. Because the investor community, everybody is willing to get in there to invest their monies. So if your bid is not within the price guidance range, it will be rejected. And this time they are reducing the amount they are taking. Last it was 8 billion. This time it is 7 billion. So it means that if you are bidding for it, you need to bid lower, because if you don't bid lower, it will not be accepted. And that's how come rates are coming down. Because last year, 2024, we were looking at around in the range of about 27 to 30%. You understand? 27 to 30%. And this very year, the same time, January, February, we are looking at around 24 to what? 27. That's about 300 basis points lower. You get it? So it keeps reducing, and it will keep on reducing.
Okay. Because I can see the rates, and I'm checking the websites now, and I can see that there are some changes. But what factors determine the T-bill rates, and how often do they change?
Okay, so starting with the last point, how often do they change? In fact, they change every week.
Okay.
T-bills change every week.
The rates?
Yes, the rates. They change every week.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the factors, they are, let me give you two factors that actually affect treasury bill rate. Number one is the policy rate. Okay. The policy rate is the rate that government of Ghana uses to tame inflation. Okay. To bring down inflation, or let me say to control. Yes, I think the best word is to control inflation. Now, the policy rate is not just to control inflation, but also to help to improve unemployment rate.
Okay.
Now, let's stick to taming inflation. Now, when inflation is going so high, the government, the Bank of Ghana has to adjust the rate. If it is going high, the adjustment will be upwards. And so when it goes upwards, it reflects on the treasury market. So the treasury market will have rates coming up. So if you check 2023, 2023 or 2022, you realize that inflation was very high, and you see the reflection coming into the treasury market, where treasury bills were going as high as 31-32%.
Okay.
But when inflation started trickling down from about 50 or 40 something percent coming down, you saw that Bank of Ghana also started reducing the policy rate from 29 to about 27 and coming down. So it reflected in the treasury market.
Right.
So the policy rate is something that will actually affect, and of course the inflation. If inflation is going up, the Bank of Ghana will increase the policy rate, okay, to help control, because it's also assumed that there's a lot of money in the system, and people are spending a lot, and that's how come it's pushing, and people are also borrowing a lot to spend, and so he has to, Bank of Ghana has to increase it to scare people off borrowing money.
Right.
You understand? The second part is demand and supply, basically. What it means is that in the market, when people are going for auction, when the primary dealers are going for auction, they also look at certain economic indicators, and then look at the government's fiscal policy and what the government's policies are, so that they can try to adjust the rate in order to get into the bid. Because if you don't bid in a certain range, you'll be out of the market, and then your money will still be with you. And your investors are going to ask you questions. Why is my money not invested?
Right.
I'm losing money, because when you put money in cash, I'm losing money here and there. So these are the factors that actually affect inflation. What do you call it? The treasury bill rate.
Right. 20 to top of the hour. And this is Business Breakfast on Zed with me, Nichebi Hammond. And this morning we're talking treasury bills, whether it's still a good option, whether it's profitable even in 2025. And I'm speaking to Benjamin Nathan Ochi, who is a financial licensed financial advisor, and he's helping us understand some of these things. But you can join the conversation over our WhatsApp lines. You can send us a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019. Send us your questions, your comments, and we'll do well to address them accordingly. And you can also engage us on our social media platforms at ZFMGH, on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Right now, Nathan, Benjamin. Let me call you Benjamin. Let's continue the conversation. Now, are T-bills a good option for both individuals and businesses, or they work specially for some particular individuals or businesses?
Okay, well, in terms of the category of investors, which is individuals, institutional people, we don't really term as we don't really consider business people, because when we say business people, are we talking about the businessman out there doing his own business?
Well, I'm talking about businesses.
Business, so like companies.
Yes, I own a company. Can I go and buy treasury bill?
Okay, okay. So if it's a business that, I mean, they fancy investing their excess cash, it benefits them because they have a lot of money, okay, or let me say their size is huge. Now, those who really benefit are the institutional investors. So you can think of mutual funds, unit trust funds, you can think of pension funds, provident funds, and all that. They are institutional investors, and they really have the chunk of the money. They have the huge money. So a pension fund could be investing about 100 million, 200 million in just an auction, just one day. Okay, because their money is huge, whatever rate is there available benefit them, as compared to an individual or a retail investor who has about 10,000, 5,000, 1,000 cedis. You see, the benefits will not be so much for you because your money is what? It's small. So those who really benefit are the institutional and then maybe businesses who have excess cash to invest in treasury bills. Yeah.
I see. Now, what is the minimum amount needed to invest in treasury bills?
Well, treasury bills, I think as low as 100 cedis you can even invest. I mean, depending on which institution you are investing with. Because some institution will tell you that, hey, we want to take about 5,000. Some people will tell you 100 cedis you can invest. Because even now, there are some apps that you can buy treasury bills through. Yes, I think quite a number of them are out there, and then you can buy, treasury bills. So 100 cedis, 200, 500, you should be able to invest in a treasury bill. Yeah.
Wow, as low as 100 cedis.
Yes, as low as 100 cedis.
Oh, I see. So then that means that it's open to everybody.
Yes, it's open to everybody. It's open to everybody, from the investi guy to the old guys.
All right. That's great. Now, for someone looking to invest in shorter gains, shorter term gains, would you say treasury bills is a better alternative?
Okay, so just like I always say, I don't want to always have a straight, so what it is that let's make some assumptions here. So let's say the person is low risk, the person wants to invest for about, say, maximum 1 year, and the person wants to probably use it to what objective can we even find? Maybe buy a laptop.
Right.
Maybe buy a laptop. So this is a very good assumption to say to the person that treasury bill is good for you.
Good. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the objective is to buy a laptop in a year, which means the person wants to invest in 1 year, and the person does not want to lose any part of the money because it's very needed for the purchase of the laptop. Okay. So with that, I can say straight away that, look, invest in the treasury bill. But here the question is, which type of treasury bills are you going to go for? You understand? Normally, I have seen that if you are investing, let's say you have the 1 year, in our assumption, you have the 1 year. What it means is that I would rather advise you, depending on how much you are ready to put in and then the cost of the laptop, I could advise you that do 3 months treasury bill, and then when it matures, add the principal to the interest and roll over for another 3 months.
Okay.
If you do that for the 1 year, normally, if we are assuming all things are equal and you have the same amount that you are going to invest, you will probably have higher returns or higher money grown than you investing straight away in the 1 year. Yes. Because now compound is working for you. Okay. Because you are earning interest on interest, and it's being added to your principal. So you don't need to touch it. You don't need to make any withdrawal, either principal or interest. You just leave it. It rolls over about 4 times. Then you see your money grow.
Right.
So that you can buy a laptop.
Right. Still on short-term gains. Investments. Are there some better alternatives to treasury bills?
Yes, I would say yes, because if you compare treasury bills with instruments, or let me say investment product like mutual funds, you will be able to. Some mutual funds actually do better than the treasury bills. Some mutual funds do better. So if you have a mutual fund that is doing better than treasury bill, or let me say a unit trust fund that is doing better than treasury bills, then you are better off going for that mutual fund.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
And with the mutual funds, so you can start as low as even 10 Ghana cedis. You understand? You can start as low as 10 Ghana cedis in that mutual fund and move ahead to what? Make some good money.
Right.
So mutual funds that are more like a fixed income type will help you to, make more money than the treasury bill. But treasury bill is a benchmark for all these kind of investments. So anytime you are going out there, you want to invest, you need to check the treasury bill rate and then what they are also giving you. Then you know that you are going the right way. If it's more than the treasury bill, it means you are taking on a little more risk and you need to ask questions.
Right. So in terms of risk and the returns, how do treasury bills compare to the mutual funds, the fixed deposits that you're mentioning?
Okay, so I think they are all, depending on the mutual fund, let's assume that it's a fixed income mutual fund or money market mutual fund. They all have a low risk return profile. Okay, low risk return profile means that you have taken on lower risk with a lower return.
Right.
Yes, that's what it means. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's move into some practical steps for first-time investors. Now, for someone that is interested in investing in T-bills for the first time, what is a step-by-step process for that?
Okay, well, so here I will wear my financial planner hat, and I'll say that you don't just walk into a bank or a brokerage firm or an asset management firm to invest in treasury bills. Ask yourself, why do you want to invest in treasury bills? What do you want to do? At the end of the day, what is the money going to be used for? And with our practical example, we use a laptop in 1 year. So ask yourself that question, determine the goal, then check if you are a low risk, a medium, or a high risk person. And how do you check that? Just ask yourself, if I invest in these treasury bills and let's say I lose about 20% or 30% of my money, will I be excited? Will I be happy? If you find yourself saying no, I don't want to lose anything, I want to hold on to my principal, it means you're a low risk person.
Right.
If you are someone who say, okay, well, it's not bad, we'll stay in there and see, you're a medium person.
Okay.
But if you say, okay, 20% is nothing, we want to make more money, we take the risk and all that, so we'll be in there and we'll even add more, that is a high risk person. So you need to determine that. And let me sound a disclaimer here, it doesn't mean that when you invest in treasury bill you are going to lose money. Let me make that very clear. Right. Yes, because treasury bill is quite safe investment out there. Then now you look at the period that you want to invest. Do you want to invest 3 months, 6 months, or a year? And check your budget, your financial strength, to see if you can invest and sustain it for the purpose of which you want to invest the bill. After that, then you walk into a bank or a brokerage house. If the banks actually gives a lower rate than the brokerage houses or the asset management, okay, yes, they give lower. So you'll be better off going to the brokerage houses and then asset management. Then you decide to say, okay, do you have any advice for me, or what do you think? When they advise, then you'll be able to make a decision. Okay, I want a 3 months or a 6 months. They give you a form.
you fill it, you add all the necessary documentation, off you go.
Okay, but there are no government websites that you can go to purchase anything like that?
No, you can't go straight to the government to purchase. Okay, so that's how it looks like. The government through Bank of Ghana, okay, have an auction period with some people we call PDs or primary dealers.
Okay.
And these primary dealers are licenses by Bank of Ghana, okay, to be able to stand in more like for the public. So they buy from the government, okay, they have the money, they buy from the Bank of Ghana, then they come into the market to sell to retailers, institutions, and all those kind of things. So if you're an individual, you can go to the bank or you can go to the brokerage houses and then go and buy from them. But you cannot buy straight from the government. You need to buy through a primary dealer or even on the secondary market. In fact, it is stated clearly that anybody who want to buy the treasury bills should go to the secondary market to go and buy. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, are there any specific strategies that investors can use to actually get the most out of their investments in T-bills? Are there some specific strategies?
Of course there are. But you need to know, just like I said, the 4 questions I asked you. Because, I mean, my daily work is a portfolio manager. I manage pension funds, mutual funds, and all that. And every fund has an objective, a risk profile, okay, and then a duration of a vested period, okay, and that is going to tell you where or the kind of strategy you have to use, because you cannot use a strategy same as a mutual fund for a pension fund.
Okay.
You cannot use a strategy same for, let's say, somebody who is 18 years old, okay, or let me say 25 who started work, as somebody who is on pension.
All right.
You can't use that. So depending on your risk return profile and the things that I mentioned, you'll be able to know the kind of strategy that is good for you.
Okay.
So in here, I cannot really mention outright that A strategy is good, B strategy is good, C strategy is good. But normally, with people who are starting work, we normally tell them that going the long term and taking a little more risk is good for you. Okay. That especially if you can take the risk. But with a pensioner, normally we say that, look, just go into the treasury bills or the bonds or fixed deposit, because it's a time for you to just enjoy your money. So you need to make the income to come and then you enjoy it. Yes, so I mean, on the surface, that's what I can say. Yeah.
Maybe to get more specific, what are some of the strategies for young people and strategies for their pensioners?
Okay, so with strategies, so with a young person, depending on your objective. So let me use myself an example. So with me, this year, okay, I wanted to build up an emergency fund or a buffer, so that in case something happens, I'll be able to take care of it outright without struggling, giving you a call, say, Charlie, give me some 1,000 Ghana cedi to sort myself. And after that, if I'm not able to pay, our friendship is in jeopardy. So I am building up some funds, and I've set up about 3 accounts. Okay, one a unit trust fund, one a treasury bill account, and then another also a treasury bill account, but with different institutions. So every month I deposit in account A, okay, the next month I deposit in account B, the next month I deposit in account C, then it starts again. So by the time I finish in 3 months, I am depositing again in account A, whereby probably the investment has matured with the interest, and I add up. That is my strategy. Now, when it comes to a pensioner, we may say that, okay, the pensioner has about 5 million. So with 5 million, the pensioner will come and tell you that, look, I want you to manage this 5 million for me, but I am looking at income coming in. Or somebody within the mid age, let's say 45, 50, will say that, look, I have 5 million. I want you to grow it for me. So it depends on your objective. So with a pensioner who has a 5 million to say, give me income, it means that you have to be investing around treasury bills, bonds, fixed deposits, repos, because they bring in what? Returns periodically.
Okay.
There's a fixed income returns that come in periodically, so that you'll be able to serve that purpose.
Right.
So depending on your objectives and risk appetite and all that, and where you are in life, we'll be able to determine a strategy. There's no cast in stone strategy.
Okay.
When it comes to investment. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we have just 5 minutes to go. Maybe I should be taking your closing remarks from now. But what are 3 key things every investor should consider before buying T-bills?
Right. So I think it comes back to the same point again.
Your 4
yes,
points.
my 4 points. Look at that, because look, it gives you purpose. Okay. There's something we call purpose investing. Okay. You don't just go out there and then because people are mentioning it, people are saying it, you're also going to invest. You are following the bandwagon. No. You need to be purposeful.
Okay.
You understand? Because, for example, if I'm to meet you and to advise you on investment, I'll not advise you straight away to invest in, let's say, stocks or mutual funds. Okay. I would even want to know if you even have an emergency fund. That's one important thing everybody should have. So last year, like this, I published a small ebook telling people the most important financial plans they should have. You see, emergency fund, investment plan, retirement plan, insurance plan, okay, and so on and so forth. These are the most important, and you don't need much to do that. So if I'm able to see that, okay, because if you don't have an emergency fund, even the treasury bill that I'm recommending for you, you even kill it before the time matures. Because
how?
Yes, because emergency comes without notification.
Right.
If you are supposed to get a message from your mom on WhatsApp, you see a notification on your phone.
Yeah.
It will come very clear. But when an emergency is coming, it doesn't give you any notification. So it comes out of the blue. So how are you going to tackle that? If you have the money in the treasury, when it comes, you touch it. Because you don't want to borrow from anyone.
Okay.
And have that kind of embarrassment.
Okay.
So you spoil a treasury bill or investment plan or whatever you have. But if you have an emergency, when things like that happen, you can pick up on the emergency and leave the plan to travel for long and make you the money.
So you're advising that before you get into those things, you need to have an
emergency fund.
Okay.
Before you get into the treasury bills and the stocks and all those kind of things. You understand?
Right.
And then, of course, look at the 3 questions I ask you: your investment objective, your risk appetite, and then how long you want to invest. And check your budget and see if, there's some surplus or there's a smart way. There's a smart way of budgeting your money for you to be able to invest as long as you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Benjamin, thank you very much. But let me hear your final thoughts before we go.
Okay. So thank you so much. I think the market is dynamic now. Rates are dropping. So if you want to invest, this is the time to take advantage. And as these rates are dropping on the treasury market or the fixed income market, stocks are going to do very well. So you may want to also look at stocks and see which kind of stocks that you can buy. This is not investment advice. It's for education.
Right.
If you want to invest, seek professional advice. Yes.
Well, Benjamin, Nathan, Ochre, thank you very much for coming this morning and for helping us understand these things in line with Treasury Bill. We are grateful.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Right. So that was Benjamin Nathan Ochre, who is a licensed or certified financial advisor. And he's helped us understand Treasury Bill and everything that is in there, basically. And so today's discussion has shown us that Treasury Bill, while Treasury Bill remains one of the safest investment options, their profitability depends on several factors like inflation, interest rates, and individual financial goals, like you mentioned from the beginning. And a big thank you to Nathan one more time, Benjamin Nathan Ochre one more time, and to our listeners. Before making any investments, always do your research. Make sure that you compare options and consult financial experts. Whether T-bills are right for you depends on your risk appetite and your financial objectives. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, right from 6:15 till now. My name is Nitra B. Hammond, and I'm grateful that you stuck with me all this while. Tomorrow is 31st March, and our colleague or our friends who are Muslims are getting into their Ramadan, and to wish them Ramadan Mubarak. Enjoy your week, and until then, we're back again next week. But until then, invest wisely and stay informed. Up next is The Brighter Side with NY The Brand.